Let's podcast live to tape from Copiers Plus in Fayetteville. We're at the big home cloud for their customer appreciation Christmas party, Joe. It's been a while since we've been to an office holiday party.
I'm super jealous of these darts.
Yeah.
The Plinko board. They're throwing things into coffee mugs, too. I mean, Michael Jordan would be right at home here.
Well, you probably take some money off of Michael Jordan in that situation.
I would hope, but
maybe,
who knows, man?
Maybe. Now, we'll talk to Drew from Copiers Plus in a little bit. And speaking of holiday parties, it's not too late to get yours catered. Let's do it right. So we thank the Butcher's Market for being our Thursday OG Live presenting sponsor. So hit up thebutchersmarkets.com to get all your catering needs, or maybe you don't have something you need catered, but you do need to pick up something on the way to a holiday party. You don't want to sweat it. You don't want to overthink it. They have fantastic stuff at the Butcher's Market. Locations across the triangle, locations in Wilmington. So again, we thank them for being a corporate champion of Ovies and Giglio. All right, Joe, hoops. That's the big talking point today. My question for you is, where would you like to start in the triangle since they all played last night? Would you like to start in Chapel Hill? Would you like to go to Raleigh, or would you like to go to Cameron Indoor Stadium?
I only saw one game last night. I don't know what you're talking about. Duke won, beat Auburn, and the day before Clemson beat Kentucky. There were other games in the ACC SEC Challenge.
There were other games in the ACC SEC Challenge.
No. I'm gonna go full Feinbaum here. I'm gonna be totally selective. All that matters is the top of your conference. Vanderbilt doesn't matter in football. Clearly, you can lose to them, and it doesn't matter. Those other 14 games don't matter. The two best teams in the SEC lost. That's it.
I'll say this. So
the ACC is clearly superior.
I
don't know why you're laughing. Duke took care of the number one team in the country. That means they're the best team. That means the conference is the best, because all you need is one result.
That's right.
That's what I've been told all of these years.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Let's dismiss 2-14 against the SEC. Let's just focus on who you beat.
I don't know what these 14 games you're talking about.
You're right. Never happened.
Because losses do not matter.
So were you at Lenovo Center yesterday to get some insight on the Four Nations tournament entries for the Carolina Hurricanes? Is that what you're doing at Lenovo Center last night?
I'm still trying to figure that out. But man, they are tweeting breathlessly about these guys who make a roster and the ones who don't.
Hey man, it's all good. It's good. Hey, look, man, it's good PR. It's good PR for the Carolina Hurricanes. All right, so I went to Cameron Indoor Stadium last night. Our friend Shelby Swanson, News and Observer, Daily Tar Heel, she texted me in the second half saying, "You chose wisely." I'm like, yeah, this Duke Auburn game had every indication that it was going to deliver. And Duke, in these marquee matchups so far this season, whether it's the Kansas game, the Kentucky game, Arizona, which they took care of business, they have been worth the watch. So I wanted to see what this older, athletic Auburn team with a good coach in Bruce Pearl, super athletic, with Bruce Pearl, was going to do with this group that has been through it with these big non-conference matchups. But what I did not expect, there are two things I did not expect last night. The first one was 4 minutes into the game, Auburn could not miss. They're up 13-2 on the Blue Devils, and it hit me. And I was sitting next to Jeff Goodman from Field of 68. It was a very old school night at Cameron Indoor last night. National guys in the building last night. So I look over to Jeff. I'm like, dude, I know a lot of Arizona fans showed up last year for the non-conference game, but last night when it was up 13-2, I thought Duke was headed to a bad result. There were a ton of Auburn fans in the building. At 13-2, 4 minutes in the game, here we go. Auburn starts ringing through Cameron loudly, not like a faint one, not like in a corner. Like we're talking like people going back and forth. And I look over at Mike Krzyzewski, who's sitting next to Elton Brand on the baseline, and I could see the internal screaming. That man's like, I did not give birth to Club K for this. Let's go, Duke. Okay, so of course the Duke fans start going back and forth. So I'm thinking, man, this might be a long night for the Blue Devils. Get worked by Auburn. But they settled down. There's one thing that I did not appreciate about watching Cooper Flagg on television that finally came through when I was able to see him in person for the first time last night is, I know we get all caught up. He's only 17. Dude's cold. Dude is cold. Does not look flustered. After 2 years of watching Kyle Filipowski make faces, And like, what mood are we in today? What's the Kyle Filipowski mood ring? That is not evident watching Duke up close. And then the other thing I did not expect last night, you mentioned those games, right? Kentucky, Kansas, Arizona. You know who didn't play in those games? You know who showed up as a DNP?
Apparently a guy who has not only a good shooting stroke, but a nickname. Slim. Isaiah Evans.
Isaiah Evans comes out of nowhere because Con Knipple is a little overwhelmed. He's not hitting threes. He's not matching the threes. Isaiah Evans, who my understanding is from people who've been around a little bit longer, a little bit of a defensive liability, a little raw. Well, man, he hit the big threes to get them back into it. And then Duke settled in, played great defense, rebounded well, and they took that thing home against Auburn. So those are my two, I did not expect this last night. The Auburn crowd, and obviously nobody expected Isaiah Evans to do what he did last night.
Your passion for graphics needs to be we need some sort of Cooper Flagg. Giglio says nice things about Cooper Flagg. Maybe there's we have Plinko here. Maybe there's a yodeling guy. Giglio climbs the mountain to finally give Cooper Flagg credit.
I
don't discredit him.
I like that.
You are not going to find a more athletic team than Auburn.
Yeah.
You're not.
Yeah.
And I didn't watch that game. I watched the state game. I went to the state game.
Yeah.
When you click expand on the ESPN box score, it shows you all of the stats. And I was guessing, you see the main stats, 22 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists. When you click on all stats, I would have bet money that 17-year-old Cooper Flagg, oh my God, would have struggled in the steals and blocks defensive categories against a fast, super athletic Auburn team. No, sir.
No, man.
3 steals, 2 blocks. Now, you tell me what happened with Malwatch last night. It was a bad matchup?
Bad matchup. Okay.
Because I see the minutes there for him and 38, obviously, for Flagg. But the one thing I really have said about Malwatch all along, and this might even seg us into Carolina if you'd like, it keeps Cooper Flagg out of defending the 5. And that's super important.
So that's John Shire going into his bag. The 2 previous years with John Shire, the one thing that I always gave a lot of credit was during this time of the year, he would throw guys out there for valuable minutes, throw different lineups out there to see what he can get. He did that last night in a key matchup when they were down 13-2. And I think by throwing different bodies at Auburn, it kept their 2 key guys from really being able to establish. I know the Auburn media was like, what was Duke doing to keep your, Broom and all those guys from really getting off, right? So I think John Shire did a really, really good job of handling how he was going to throw some different bodies out there, like Sion James down the stretch. Really, really, really critical in those moments.
I just like his toughness.
Right. He's got
that was clear in the Arizona and the Kansas games.
Yes.
But he adds a different element for them. Now, the one thing I would say to you, I thought Duke would win this basketball game. I told you.
But not the way they want it.
But not the way that they want it.
That's the
exactly.
Thing. That's the luxury problem.
And that's where Proctor comes in when he has a little bit of those games. But at home,
hit the biggest 3 of the game. So
at home, this is an NBA rule.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, Duke's basically an NBA team. At home, your ancillary players play better.
Yes.
They shoot better. They're more comfortable. And I remember a conversation we had with Brendan Marks a couple of years ago when he got seduced by a late March or a late February shooting performance by Duke at Cameron. And I said, sir, that's not something that happens in March in the NCAA tournament when you're outside of that building. So there is that. But holding Auburn, the number 1 offensive team in the country, to 78 points, that's a day's work.
Now, here's the thing about what is the build up for the season to go? What are you testing yourself against? What are you trying to get out of this win or a loss, right? And as much as people wanted to focus on the last 90 seconds of Cooper Flagg, it was about putting him in position to get comfortable with these big games, these big moments. Same thing with Kansas, which without Hunter Dickinson, you probably want that one back to come through. What I thought was interesting last night, and shout out to Ethan Hyman, who sent us this video, but he and I were discussing some things last night in the media room. And he goes, well, because I thought it was interesting that Shire talked about the different guys down the stretch that were contributing. It just wasn't what we've seen in the Kentucky game, right? Where it was, all right, we're going to go ISO, we're going to give it to Cooper, we're going to see what goes on here. I think that was a little bit of a let's get you comfortable with this, let's have you build up, right? But last night was more along the lines of, hey, Cooper's going to do all these other things, but in the last couple of minutes, now y'all need to bring this thing home. It might not be him who needs to bring this thing home. I said it was an old school night at Cameron last night. Mike DeCourcy in the building last night. I haven't seen Mike DeCourcy at a non-conference ACC home game in quite some time. I usually see Mike at the Final Four or something like that. So DeCourcy set this up down the stretch of seeing other players step in to make plays to hold off Auburn. And I thought Shire's response was interesting. Ethan got the video.
John, one of the things that tied the Kansas and Kentucky games together was Coop getting into trouble with his handle late and turning it over. It seemed like in this game that when it was late, you weren't trying to rely entirely on him. Was that by design, just the flow? How did that work out?
Well, we put enough on him in the 37 minutes, and it can't just be him. And for me, coaching this team, I think we got maybe a little stagnant at the end of those games, and we have other really good players too. And so you want to get movement, but look, end of the day, you still want Cooper to touch it because Cooper's going to find the right guy. So I think for us, we spent a lot of time. You asked me about this weekend. We spent a lot of time on game situations too. So knowing what we're going to go to, where it's not just calling something random. There's and for us, being those moments was helpful, but then also getting some movement and then getting to our action and Cooper touching. I think that's the balance we have to strike. And I think sometimes on the outside, people have a misconception of what Duke basketball is all about, and it's built on toughness and competitiveness. And I look, even after the losses, every loss we have is heartbreaking for me. I don't want to lose. But I've known we have something with this group. It's just they have special character, special toughness. We've got a lot to work on still. But to me, Auburn's as tough as anybody. They're as tough as anybody. They're as experienced as anybody. They have, 10 seniors or something like that. And I thought down the stretch we made the tough plays in order to win.
So again, big thanks to Ethan for putting that together for me. And that part down the stretch there where he was talking about the toughness, I get back to the Kyle Filipowski thing. Okay. I'm not trying to single it out on Filipowski, but if we go to the actual graphics and the jingle that we do have. Tell us who drives the bus. Tell us who drives the bus. If we put it in the context of Kyle Filipowski was supposed to be the bus driver last year and Cooper Flagg is driving the bus this year, which one do you put more faith in to bring this thing into the parking lot? Who's going to get you to school on time?
The Fino.
Right. Okay. So when he talks about toughness, you can tell, and I'm going to read for John here. I think there's a little bit of, that's what we are. That's what we weren't necessarily last year, getting to the Elite Eight and getting knocked out by NC State, right? Getting knocked out by NC State in the ACC championship. I don't see that happening with this particular group. But to your point, it's easy to get seduced at home. You get the story with Isaiah Evans. Is that sustainable? Probably not.
Now, Knippel's going to play better.
Knippel, you don't expect Knippel to take 1-3 and miss it, right? So that's Duke. Is that all? Is that what we have to talk about? We're done with the ACC.
There was no other games. I have no idea what you're talking about.
All right, you want to go to State or you want to go to Carolina? State lost in a very State way last night. I watched the last 5 minutes this morning. Yeah. Shout out to Kate Rogerson. She had the game up on Press Row, and I saw the final Jaden Taylor play. Which, can you explain to me what exactly that was supposed to be?
There was a lot going on in the last 4 possessions. I don't even know. They got a shot to the rim.
Yeah.
They're a team missing a bus driver. I thought Dontrez Styles played well in the second half. I thought he was kind of announcing his presence.
Yeah.
The airport, Huntley Hatsfield, he's starting to figure some things out.
Michael Collins used to shoot better.
O'Connell could not make a shot.
No.
And I don't want to hear a single State fan say one word about Michael.
That man hit every shot that mattered last year. Okay.
He made the one that mattered. Okay. No, he couldn't buy a basket.
You couldn't buy a bucket last night, man.
Texas Athletic, that game was there to be had, though.
Yes.
So I wonder, after you mentioned the slow start for Duke, State has a super slow start, looked bad, come back after the first about 5 minutes. They played good basketball.
Yeah.
Neither team could make a free throw, but State in particular at home, those are, you got to make your free throws.
Yeah.
You got to make more than 50% of your free throws.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was their last 4 possessions. They didn't get a basket when they needed one to either tie or go ahead.
Mhm.
So, I mean, they had a chance to win the basketball game. They couldn't. I would say hats off to Texas, but
You say you don't want to hear anything about Michael Connell. Here's what I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear the dumb tropes about Kevin Keats doesn't know how to drop a play coming out of a timeout or something like that. I mean, we've seen instances of that. They've won games based on what the guys have gone out there and executed, what Kevin Keats has worked on on the sideline at the bench, right? I don't think Jaden Taylor's final possession was exactly what they wanted. You know?
well, no, they wanted him going to the basket.
Yeah, but now when you got 4 guys collapsing on you, at some point you got to look around. You got to have a heads-up play in that situation. I mean, they knew exactly what was coming. Jaden Taylor has to get at that. At some point, you have to make a play too.
There was big Herb 06 energy.
What do you mean?
Like remember the infamous Boston College game where they had like 4 shot clock violations.
Oh, geez. Okay. Yeah.
And it was Herb's last year.
Yeah.
It was really the kind of the start of like how everyone started turning on him.
Yeah.
Like the Prince State offense was dead. Like there was a lot of end of shot clock. Let's just throw something up going on last night, which obviously is less than ideal.
Yeah.
I would just say I thought they actually played a whole lot better than they did against BYU. And maybe you say that's a low bar, but I thought they played well other than the first 5 minutes of the basketball game. You obviously have to make more shots.
Yes.
I get that.
Yes.
And
We'll
ultimately,
get to
Texas made a step back 3, which was the difference in the game. But, I looked at it and I say, you're finally playing with a little bit more intensity.
Mm-hmm.
That was the one thing about last year's group. Remember, and it was literally a light switch after the first half of the Louisville game in DC. It was like, oh, wait a second. This is the level that we have to play at.
Yeah.
And I thought after the first 5 minutes last night, you saw some of that for really, for first half of Purdue, we saw that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been a minute for them, and it's a hard lesson. No matter how many guys you have back, they obviously don't have enough. Mo Diarra is going to be. You thought
the one
Kevin missed Manny Bates.
You say the one who got away.
Mo Diarra is gonna. They're going to build a statue of Mo Diarra.
Well, it's interesting.
That's a classic NC State problem, though, isn't it?
Portal additions and subtractions, I think, are also coming home to roost in Chapel Hill.
I was going to say Carolina could keep Armando Bacot and RJ Davis forever.
If
but
only
State can't keep Mo Diarra.
Right. If only you could do the same thing. Before we go over to Chapel Hill, shout out to Jay Williams, by the way, who was calling the Carolina game,
getting the people going,
he had the Carolina Alabama game, and then he showed up at Cameron Indoor for the free throw shooting contest, and he first got shouted out as well.
Not online yesterday.
No, you got to remember, I'm not as online during games anymore.
He was on Twitter yesterday, posting a video of him taking 3-point shots. And the first line of the tweet was, "I love this gym."
Like, he loves that gym because it brings back memories of winning in the rivalry?
No, it was
he just loves the gym.
There was a tinge of, this is the team I grew up rooting for. This is who I wanted to. Remember, we got that story.
I know. We've heard that story plenty of times.
The Duke basketball account was like, retorted with what you said.
Yeah, like
hey, because you were 3-0 there with like a plus 58 winning percentage margin.
You balled out there in this uniform? No, not what it was.
No. And then he showed up, and the Duke basketball account was like, "Hey, glad you made it."
Yeah,
that you got back.
I wonder how Matt Davis feels about that. Matt Davis was at the game last night. State Farm. Check him out online at suregarner.com. Give him a call directly at 919-779-8277. He directly contacted me yesterday, worried as they were doing one of these like Lion King cams, right, where they hold people up. And the students behind me decided to, while it might not be vintage camera, it might not be vintage Cameron. It surely smells like vintage Cameron. A lot of BO last night. And they had a guy. Spittle. Oh, a lot of spit. I had to shower when I got home. And there was a guy that was being held up, and I thought he was going to fall on me. And Matt was concerned. See, that is customer service.
It is. Okay.
Matt's concerned for you, and he wants to make sure that your home is insured, taken care of, and you're saving money. So contact Matt Davis today, insuregarner.com, or call him directly at 919-779-8277. All right, we talked to Brendan Marks about the Tar Heels yesterday, and I saw Brendan yesterday at the Duke game, and when I saw the final score, I was like, well, you called that earlier today on the podcast. And we talk about portal misses, And I think the story of the year for Carolina is going to be, unless you're going to play these games in the 90s, and they did not have a great shooting night last night from 3, you're going to find yourself kind of, the true definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again. And that's kind of how I feel what's going to happen with North Carolina this year. They're going to play good teams, and they're going to have this kind of game go their way, in that they're not good defensively. They're not. And where Carolina fans are going to be losing their minds is the replacement of Armando Bacot and how they missed in the portal, and that's going to come home to roost. The good news, if we could borrow our Panthers bit for the Carolina or for the Tar Heels, if I can tell you something good. The thing about the ACC this year, it's not like you're going to be seeing a ton of great teams. Now, I know the retort before you even mention it. Who says Carolina's any good? But Joe, you might be having a classic Carolina is ACC good type year, but not necessarily national good, which of course we know that's not the standard at North Carolina.
I'm going to give you credit for something.
Okay.
And that was last year. I told you that RJ Davis would be back for this 5th year.
Sure.
There's just too much money. Why do you want to go to the G League and shuttle around for $35,000?
Right.
No one's going to do that. And I said that. And I said it in a way where I was dismissive of your point. Maybe RJ Davis is just over this.
Mm-hmm.
Not in a bad way.
Yeah.
Understand what I'm saying to you. He's not tanking. He's not mad at somebody, whatever the Palace intrigue was from 2 years ago.
I remember the conversation. I brought up your guy, Trevor Lacey.
Yeah.
Trevor Lacey, for those who aren't familiar, NC State, a GOT guy, early GOT guy. He was 24. And I remember the conversation around him leaving because he had eligibility, but it was man, I'm 24. There's a huge difference between a 24-year-old and an 18-year-old.
I'm not pinning this on him.
Yeah, sure.
I'm just saying to you, he carried them last year.
Yeah.
For all these people who are acting like Armando Bacot was like Wilt Chamberlain or something.
No.
Watching my language. Deep breaths. I can do this. Let's just pretend there's FCC rules.
Yeah, sure.
He's had he had a good half against Elon.
Yeah.
Congratulations. And he had a good game against Dayton.
Mm-hmm.
He was 3 of 15 against Kansas and 7 of 24 last. He was bad last night. 1 of 11.
And yeah, and
hit the music. Who drives the bus? It's not him.
Tell us who drives the bus. Tell us who drives the bus.
Well, he's driving the bus, but he's driving it right off into a ditch.
I think you have the wrong 06 Herbian connection.
Okay.
Wasn't at Lenovo Center last night.
Well, Shush was there last night.
I saw that. I saw Tim Peeler post a picture with him. Did he show up in the limo? Was he partying? Was the crew getting down on Hillsborough Street? No, I think you're off base in where the Herbian thing is happening.
I caught this in watching the first half of the Carolina game on TV.
It's happening in Chapel Hill.
Fan base is gripping it.
Yeah.
With Hubert.
Yep.
And I know they get mad at me when I point out things about them, but I could hear it.
Yeah.
It was like the Ohio State Michigan football game.
Yeah.
Like you have to live it to know it.
Mm-hmm. No, I texted you and Luke last night while the game was going on. I'm like, if we're out here handing out credit and whatnot, I texted you and Luke last night. I'm like, damn it, here we go. Like, this is Duke and Carolina finding out how the other half lives. In my context with Duke, how the other half lives is like, oh, wait a minute. This is not a packed out Duke crowd for a big marquee matchup here with Auburn fans in the building. And I guess over at North Carolina, there's hey, welcome to the other half, guys. It ain't how it used to be. Think about the old days. The old days.
And
that's kind of happening right now.
I'm not sure Brady Manick is there to save them.
No, I don't see that.
You know what I mean? Like that year, Brady really, because remember, they had lost to Kentucky early, Tennessee early, poorly. And it's going badly for Hubert in these marquee matchup games. When you say, I'm about to call them ACC good, which they will be.
They'll be ACC.
I know this, but I'm not going to dunk on that. They'll be fine. But you can't keep losing these games against Kentucky and all these other out of conference, Kansas and Alabama, missing 2 players last night. Like they got run out of their own gym.
It is early. I have to stay consistent with these types of things. It is early. North Carolina will likely be an NCAA tournament team because they will be ACC good, especially when you look across the ACC, which gets me to my last part of this segment. And I'm going to do something that I did not anticipate doing at the beginning of this year. So I know we're going to be doing a best of our 2-part, a year in review, the OG year in review, part 1 and part 2, which will drop Christmas week. You will be able to open up presents and watch the gift of the OG on Christmas Day.
A ghetto version of Jim Rome's year in review.
Yes, absolutely.
An homage.
So in the OG year in review, if you go back to January of this year, and I know you've called me out on this, I brought the hammer to ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips. The reason why I brought the hammer to ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips was because after Florida State had been left out of the college football playoff in controversial fashion because their quarterback was hurt, Jim was operating in the old days. And like I said, think about the old days, the old days. If you think you can shape the narrative, if you think you can win a PR battle with email statements, that ain't going to do it. You got to be front and center. You got to go out and fight, man. You got to get yourself on ESPN. You have to leverage your network to get the message out there, to fight, much like the SEC has done for a very, very long time. So I was adamant that it was a poor job done by Jim Phillips at the beginning of the year. But I give Jim Phillips and the ACC a lot of credit as the year progressed. Clearly, they had some sort of come to Jesus meeting. I don't know how it happened, who started it, or whatever. I'm just glad it happened, okay? Because as we got to ACC kickoff, and it really came to fruition at ACC tip-off this October, they have been adamant about their messaging. They've allowed guys like Mark Packer to be a lot more comfortable of engaging in the debate with other ESPN personalities rather than trying to take some sort of high road as if that gets you something. Jim Phillips has done a hell of a lot more media.
No, I'm laughing at the high road.
I know. See what that gets you? So my point is, though, that Phillips has been front and center. He's been doing more radio interviews. At ACC tip-off, he was making the rounds, Field of 68. He's been on the network. He's been all that kind of stuff. He's been crafting the message. Now, you might not necessarily agree with the message, but the point is, all I was asking was, you got to come up with a better PR strategy. They are implementing their PR strategy. They are trying to get you to understand that the ACC was an undervalued basketball conference last year. Just look at the NCAA tournament results, right? And I bought into the undervalued portion of the ACC last year because you could look at what the Big 12 was doing and hammering these terrible teams and cooking the books, so to speak. Whereas the ACC challenged itself, and while they played good games and they had a couple good losses, it wasn't really coming through in the computers. The numbers fed bad numbers once you got into ACC play, and even your top-tier teams were losing some bad games within conference, and the rest is history. But of course, they end up getting to the Elite Eight and Final Fours and all that stuff. Shout out to NC State. So all that being said, I now fast forward to this week. Really, all throughout the football season and in this week where it really came to fruition. It really crystallized for me. ACC coaches owe Jim Phillips an apology this week. I know you're making a face, but hear me out. Florida State, after all the whining and the lawsuits and everything else, what do you do this football season? You crap the bed. Basketball, Joe Lunardi, we got to change the messaging. Bring him to Amelia Island. We're going to, accomplish all the talking points. We got to value this league better. We're a great basketball conference. Don't believe the numbers, all this other stuff. Just look at the results. Okay, cool. Well, here are the results right now. 2-14 in the SEC Challenge. Now, it gets worse than that. Hat tip to Gary Parrish over at CBS, Eye on College Basketball. Going into the ACC-SEC Challenge, he was just talking specifically about the two conferences and how the SEC is miles better than the ACC right now. And obviously the results this week tell you that at 2-14. So as of last night, the ACC has 49, get my notebook out of the way. The ACC has 49 non-conference losses. 49 non-conference losses. The SEC has 18 non-conference losses. That shows you the disparity between the two conferences, straight up. All right. And if you look at the ACC, it's not so much that they got smoked by SEC squads. It's also that they're getting beat by bad teams. All right. But then I was curious. I'm like, well, that's the ACC versus the SEC. How does that compare to the other two big conferences that the ACC is constantly compared to, that they're trailing right now in KenPom numbers? Again, ACC, 49 non-conference losses. The SEC has 18 non-conference losses. The Big 10 has 26 non-conference losses, and the Big 12 has 31 non-conference losses. So far and away, the ACC is way behind. And you're probably, well, what does this matter? Well, the table is set now for the ACC. They're not really going to have a lot of opportunities to make that number look better by the time they get into conference play, which is right around the corner. So this is where the ACC is heading into conference play right now. Straight up. They're going to need Duke, Carolina, Pitt, Clemson, who has a really nice win over Kentucky. It's required now. And let's throw in, I don't know, an outlier. Hey, State, get your act together. Hey, Wake Forest, get your act together. You're going to need a clearly defined top in the ACC. Clearly defined to hammer everybody in that gooey middle and the bottom. You don't need a Notre Dame knocking off North Carolina. You don't need a Georgia Tech knocking off, say, Pitt, because all that's going to do is leave you with what? 4 NCAA tournament bids? So to crystallize this, Jim Phillips deserved criticism back in January. But now in December, as we're wrapping up the year, he actually deserves a little bit of defense. He did what you asked him to do. He did what I asked him to do. Fight for the league. Got the messaging. But all that messaging doesn't mean anything unless you freaking win.
Now, you thought I was kidding at the beginning of this program when I said there was only 2 results.
Oh, yeah.
Well, why do the numbers matter when they matter?
Yeah.
Why do they not matter when they don't matter?
Okay.
I was thinking about this. 2 separate thoughts. Auburn lost at home to Cal in football.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody remember that?
No.
No.
That's football.
Miami murders Florida in football. But apparently going to an SEC, you would never understand it.
I know.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So in the SEC, you get completely mind erased of results. They don't matter.
Yeah.
All that matters is when they win.
Yeah.
Okay. So in ACC basketball, why can't it be all that matters is when they win?
Because unfortunately, the ACC does not have that benefit of the doubt. And there's years and years of reasons for that, why we're at that point. And this is where I get back to football. I agree with you. I do agree with you on the messaging. But you also have to take the opportunities that are there. The ACC was looking at 3 potential teams in the college football playoff going into this past weekend. Miami, win your freaking game. You got a Heisman Trophy candidate. Win your freaking game. Lane Kiffin throwing shots at Mario Cristobal. # take a knee. Okay? Come on, man. Clemson. Oh, yeah, I'm feeling good. Nobody's paying attention to us. I love how Dabo's feeling good this week.
Yeah.
Man, you should have felt good in the 4th quarter of last week, okay? And take care of business against an SEC team. Because you could have been the one sitting pretty outside the ACC championship game with a win over an SEC squad in South Carolina that people like, and then you could have been in the college football playoff rather than what's going on right now. So I get what you're saying, but the ACC doesn't get that benefit of the doubt, so you have to leave no doubt. You got to go win these freaking games straight up, and they did.
My other thought this morning, I was making my coffee. This is the new reality of college sports, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pay for play is legal.
Yeah.
And free agency is legal.
Yeah.
So why are we surprised that the SEC, who forever has been paying players, is good at the new reality of college football?
Weird, right?
Why are we surprised at that?
Yeah.
And you know who else is good at it? This school with all of Nike's money. Like,
mind blown.
oh man, I never could have come up. I never could have guessed this.
Mind blown.
The one conference that actually gives a scrap of thought to academics is struggling.
Who knew?
Meanwhile, the other that has prioritized investing in their players and personnel for all of these years, legally or illegally, is better at it than the other one.
That's crazy.
What?
That's crazy.
Oregon, with all of Nike's money that only exists because of Nike's money, that before was under the table and now is just straight up over the table.
So
on the table.
Explain North Carolina with all their money.
North UNC?
Yeah.
You mean football or hoops?
Both.
Well, hoops is an interesting exercise. You know they're mad at the coach.
I know.
So there's that.
Yeah.
But football and everything else, we've been over all that.
Yeah.
But I think North Carolina, for the most part, and I know a State fan's going to yell at me here in 2 seconds, has tried to do things on the up and up.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
They've tried.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Even our conversations with Bubba in terms of like Baycott and Davis,
Yeah.
like they make them actually do like Dunkin' Donuts and the other stuff that they do. Like they make them pretend that it's actual NIL. I'm not defending it as such. I'm just saying that they go through the panoply of, okay, this is what we're doing.
See how much longer that goes, though. Now, what's funny is we're sitting here banging on the ACC and college basketball and everything else, but you know how it's going to play out, right? Accomplished greatness, Joe. So I need to go to DraftKings right now. What are my odds on Pitt making it to the Elite Eight?
Well, you can't get that, but you can get a Final Four future.
Well, then give me Syracuse. Give me Syracuse Final Four future right now, man.
No, what's his name's gone.
No. What's going to happen is they're going to have an NC State. They're going to win the ACC tournament, and they're going to go on this magic run. They've done it before in Syracuse history, so let's make that happen, right? So that's what I'm going right. They're going to get
Pitt's only 15-1 to make the Final Four.
So the ACC is going to get 4 bids. You're going to get Duke, you're going to get Carolina, you're going to get Pitt, you're going to get Clemson, and they're going to have a 5th win the conference, right? So whoever wins the conference, can I pick an ACC winner and a Final Four winner back to back? Can I parlay that?
Ooh, yeah, you can actually.
Give me
conference
Wake Forest.
Winner.
Steve Forbes is going to be a man on the brink. It's going to set up perfectly for Steve Forbes.
Let's see if we can do it with Clemson.
Perfect. Give me an ACC champ Final Four.
You
Give
ready?
me the Kevin Keats special.
Oh, they won't let you do it. Because it's 20-1 to win to get to the Final Four for Clemson,
man,
and 12-1 to win the ACC.
That's too bad. These are the kind of things that I think about with DraftKings. Let's simplify it, shall we? We got the NBA Cup. It is here, and you can win big getting in on the action on DraftKings, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. All 30 teams split into 6 groups. A lot of people have been having fun with the NBA Cup. The courts themselves are fantastic. And the takes coming out of the NBA Cup are fun too. So you can have some fun with it as well. And if it's your first time, here's something special for you. New DraftKings customers. You bet $5, you'll get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. So score big with the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Every point counts. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use that promo code OG24. Again, that's OG24. New customers will get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball.
Housekeeping is a little different today as we are at Copiers Plus, the home base, the home cloud, if you will, in Fayetteville. And Drew Smith from Copiers Plus is hanging out with us. Hey, man, thanks for inviting us, number one. But more importantly, as we're coming off Thanksgiving and we're going into the holiday seasons and all that kind of stuff, thank you for being a corporate champion of this podcast and being the title sponsor for the podcast. From the jump, you like zero questions. Like, what do you all want to do? What can we do? And that's how this all came together. So thank you for that, for making this work. So we're more than happy to come out here and get back into like a office holiday party mode, Joe. It's been a bit since we've been in an office holiday party.
All I know is Natasha stepped up and threw a bullseye on that first throw cold out of the car. So we are not gambling against Natasha today.
No, don't do that.
I know that.
Don't do that.
She's on it. You got that victory red on.
Drew, you got to pick up the microphone.
You got that victory red, so
Now we're
you
talking
know
about.
things are going to work out. Yeah, but I appreciate y'all's partnership, and it really means a lot to partner with people that are doing things a new way and kind of, going against tradition. The way y'all do the mailbag and the phone line.
We're
Quite-
gonna make sure
quite-
no one can hear the phone line today.
Yeah,
I'm also gonna be on my best behavior
but,
today.
No full Giglio today.
Nope, only half.
Yeah, I mean the people don't like scripts, and I mean y'all do it off the cuff and make people want to tune in just to get your take, and that's what we hope to do. People need a take on how to better serve their office, and we hope that they come to us for their technology needs, and we can advise them a little bit.
Now, before we get into what y'all doing with this, you guys have a donation drive going here, 40 years of caring with Copiers Plus. Tradition does matter, though. I mean, while we do try to break away from the traditions of broadcasting, we also respect
That's
our traditions.
amazing.
That's
Okay.
right.
So if you're watching on YouTube, it's a non-functioning clock, but this NC State, like, I don't know, like fabric background Wolfpack clock is amazing.
Maybe
Burlap.
a one of
It's like
one,
a
not sure,
burlap.
but maybe a 1-on-1.
It could be. It could be. We got the Ramblin' Wreck,
Yep.
which is awesome, and then we got the UNC Dub over here. But this is like a family thing here. So
Yep.
we explain the State, Georgia Tech, UNCW connections here.
So with us being a 3-generation family business, we have 3 generations of different ACC ties, and I guess you can't count UNCW in that.
North
but
Carolina.
North Carolina ties.
Yeah, North Carolina.
But I can make a connection to UNCW and NC State
Okay.
pretty easily.
Yeah.
But my grandfather attended NC State and Georgia Tech, got his degree at Georgia Tech. So he is a Ramblin' Wreck. And my uncle also attended NC State. And then me and my dad both went to UNCW.
Mhm.
So there's kind of the lineage there for our ties to university and North Carolina sports and ACC sports with Georgia Tech. But the
You got baseball state
NC
championships.
Oh,
High school. I mean, I thought you were just going to come on here and talk about that.
yeah.
I mean, you should.
Quinn Bentley going to NC State. He's going to be a stud. So all NC State baseball guys, watch out for Quinn Bentley. He's going to be the
Tell Ovies. Whose team?
who's
It's
team?
his alma mater that you beat.
Oh yeah, Cardinal Gibbons.
Oh, the big Gibbons. Yeah. Look, man, you got to remember when I was at Gibbons, the baseball field was just a place where the degenerates would go smoke.
Yep.
So there was not a lot going on there. Although shout out to Mr. Freeman, he tried, man. He tried to get that baseball thing off the ground. I didn't make it. I was too fat at that time. You know what should have been doubles, I could only turn into singles. Right? Yeah, I understand why. I got
Ichiro.
cut.
You're Ichiro.
Yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was. My dad always said I ran like I had a piano strapped to my back. So that tracks. That's why I never made the baseball team. But it's fine. It's fine. We're a football school.
Yep.
It's a football school now.
Yep.
That and Enloe.
The
Enloe.
big one this Friday, or was it? No,
Look, I'll be honest with you. When Enloe got bounced by Jordan in the high school playoffs, I checked out in the playoffs. I'm there for Ryan Clark and the crew these days. I'm an Enloe guy now. Enloe dad.
To say he's flipped his allegiances, but never flipped your copier need allegiances.
Oh,
no,
Always
for sure.
Copiers Plus.
And Kia Sierra at that. Thank you, Kia Sierra, for helping us sponsor the Niblet.
Yeah. So, all right. So we got a customer appreciation. That's why we are here. So you have customers, vendors that are coming through. But for those who, I got a QR code that I can hold up on YouTube here. But in partnership with Kyocera, you are celebrating 40 years in business by giving back. So you got 40 organizations, $500 a piece. That's $20,000 in donations. How does this work? How are you making this work? Especially here in North Carolina, where there's a lot of needs now after what happened in the western part of the state.
Yeah. So, I mean, it came about, 40 years is nothing to, just put a post about and move on. So I wanted to do something special. And, just didn't want to just be like, oh, we're the best in 40 years. I wanted to give back. And that's something that we've always done, Copiers Plus. So started thinking, I was like, what are ways that we could do that and incorporate 40 years? So that's how the 40 years came about. And we've been partnering with Kyocera since 1985 when we started.
Yeah.
They've had different names, acquisitions, but
Which, with respect to all the ancient traditions, I love that you still have the OG 85 logo up.
yes, the
That's fantastic.
OG 85 logo is on the stage. So with that history, we partnered together to serve the communities that we've been serving since 1985. So what it is that there's a nomination form and it's going to be on our website, social media. There's a link, and you go in and you nominate an organization that is in North Carolina and serving North Carolina, and it can be anything. You don't have to be a customer to nominate or to receive. It's just go in and nominate, and we will select the 40 best organizations, and each will get a $500 check to go towards the mission that they have in the community. And it's just a way to, there's not a ton of hoops that they have to go through, that, there's no grants. I mean, it's just nomination form with a company that's local that wants to give back. And that's the heart of it. And it's just something that we can do to celebrate, because, sometimes the best gift you can give is just giving to others. And that's kind of what we're doing. It's powerful to see the stories and to be a small part of what someone else is doing. I mean, even when I was in sales for a couple of years and, talked to salespeople here, like driving by an organization that you sold a copier to, it's not that, you got them into the database. There's pride there.
Yeah.
There's pride, like, hey, they're a customer. They're doing this. You get to know the ins and outs of their organization because you're helping them in a small way. But you build those partnerships, and it's long lasting. So to be able to do that on, probably more of a nonprofit scale, where we may not have more of that relationship being, more business to business, is going to be exciting. And to hear the stories of what they've done for people that are nominating them, I'm really looking forward to seeing those.
I think Jerome is going to say to you, like, that's awesome. I love that you helped the OG, but could you stop sending me to Giglio's house in Garner? How many different times is he going to have to change the Wi-Fi? Jerome just walk by.
Yeah.
So
is that charity or is that customer service?
Jerome is a big Tar Heel fan, so I think he may be sabotaging you a little bit. And there's just a little cat and mouse game. But no, I'm just kidding. But we're happy to do it. Not everybody is technology acute.
I was just about to say, I know there's people like Ovies who think, I can solve it, I can figure it out, but no, sir.
You got a guy for that.
I have a guy for that. Yes.
No, but even I have had some moments where I'm like, man, this is way above my knowledge base on that kind of stuff. And that's what this is about, to kind of close out the conversation here. If you are, look, I've been joking, 2024 is coming to a close. You're thinking about some things. Don't make it a 2025 problem, or handle it right now. Contact Copiers Plus, because it goes beyond, the tech is great, cloud's awesome, but customer service and understanding what the heck this big machines are going to do kind of matters. I feel like I have to reach out to you because I got the black stripe showing up on the paper now.
Yep.
What does that mean?
Probably drum.
It's time to get a new.
Might be a slick glass problem.
Okay.
I'm the marketing guy, so I have a guy for that.
You have a guy for that.
Yeah.
The point is, I got zero clue. I'm just saying, that's not how the print should come out. Yep. My Duke parking pass should not come out this way. It still worked yesterday. Don't get me wrong, but I'm like, that probably means toners running out. I don't know.
No,
but you guys can handle it.
We got you.
You guys are a lot like Matt Davis in Garner. You have a conversation. You reach out. If I can help your business, I'm going to help your business. Yeah, and 9 times out of 10. Going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So,
and we can pull the office skit, go into the room, call them up.
Exactly.
You're gonna get Miss Donna up there, and it's gonna be live. You're not gonna get a robot.
Nope. Real person.
It's not an AI chatbot.
You're not getting that from the big brands. I'm just saying.
There you go.
No, but I do want to give a shout out.
Yeah.
Being that we are in Fayetteville, my birthplace. I live in Wilmington now, but went to high school with Eric McLean.
Yeah.
Of
Big
the
Mac.
Clemson Tigers.
Yeah.
Clemson Tiger. In celebration of their ACC tournament win that's going to happen on Saturday against.
You're going to watch my language because you already know what
they should.
I want to give Eric
South Carolina.
Eric a hometown shout out. It's fun watching him on the ACC network and doing big things, and saw saw him on y'all's show a few times, but it's always cool to have that little connection. So and Brett Friedlander.
Freebird. I saw Freebird last night.
He coached one of my rec league baseball
really?
teams. I was a good friend. Yeah, good friends with his son.
Okay. That's funny. Small world,
he's great.
Man.
He's great.
Yeah, I saw Friedlander last night.
The Hawaiian shirts are.
He was rocking a loud shirt and battling his computer. You actually should reach out to Brett because he's always having tech problems, especially when it comes to the Wi-Fi. He's a Wi-Fi legend, man. Wi-Fi legend. Hey, man, we appreciate you. Thanks for having us out. And thanks for being a corporate champion and being the presenting sponsor of this podcast. Obviously, we cannot do what we do without you and your company, so we appreciate it, man.
Yep, absolutely. Thank y'all.
Honestly, I might need Inovana because I know we just did housekeeping with Drew. I might need Inovana to clean up the clock on today's podcast. I'm all over the place today. I'm in the holiday party vibe. That's what it's all about.
If you have mess inside your mansion or trash in your cabana, get it clean with Inovana.
Honestly, what we might need to do is clean up some of this college football mess. We'll get into Lane Kiffin popping off and being extremely online. Rhett Lashley at SMU making some good points. But let's actually start with NC State. Signing day was yesterday. You might have forgotten because signing day is really, really weird now. There's two of them, and a lot of people are focused on the transfer portal. But one thing that NC State will not have to do this year is worry about getting a quarterback in the transfer portal. CJ Bailey, I love how it was like presented. It wasn't presented as a contract extension, but it's like a re-up with the Savage Wolves NIL, essentially saying, yeah, man, CJ Bailey, we secured the bag. He's going to be the quarterback at NC State next year. Our friend JC Zembel over at Wolfpack Central had this clip from Dave Doeren during his signing day press availability talking about how it's nice to have a starting quarterback come back, know who it is.
We're really excited about our quarterback room. I feel like with CJ, the experience he gained this year, the way he's playing and leading, Lex Thomas has really improved, came in injured and has gone through a long rehab process. And this year he got better and better and better. He has best week last week of practice. So I was really excited. So we feel good about the three quarterbacks that are here. Doesn't mean you don't keep looking, for guys that may or may not fit what you need, but it's not like it was the last couple of years. We're not trying to find, a portal starter or anything like that. We love the fact that we've got CJ with Lex, and those two guys get along really well, and Will coming in the building here mid-year. It's a much better position than we've been in, and I love going into the offseason knowing who my starter is. I mean, it's a great feeling. Had it with Jacoby Brissett, had it with Ryan Finley, had it with Devin Leary. It's your off season's different, and going into that next phase who that guy is that you're looking at. And CJ's ready to run the show.
So old school of Dave Doeren. You're making a face, Joe. For those who are not watching on YouTube, you're making a face. Why are you making a face?
Well, he did have MJ Morris. He didn't have to get Brendan Armstrong. He says stuff sometimes as if other people don't exist.
I know.
And don't remember.
I know.
Again, last year with Bailey, I get it. You're not going to bring a true freshman in and count on him to play from the jump. Only Chuck Amato would do that. But
only Mac Brown would do that.
True? Oh, Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I get that part of it. But I mean, sometimes he says some stuff. The self-awareness is lacking.
I mean, I'll give Dave the benefit of the doubt here. I think sometimes you go through these situations because you feel like that's what you have to do, where you have an opportunity, transfer.
Well, no, I guess what I'm saying is he's talking like somebody put a gun to his head to add Armstrong, to add McCall.
Right. Right.
That's not what happened.
And also, let's understand that Jacoby Brissett was a transfer portal who had, because of the rules, had to sit out a year, but he understood who his quarterback was going to be. But let's not forget that the portal itself isn't necessarily the problem. It's more so having a clear plan of who your guy is going to be. And that's one thing that you can easily get caught up in. Like, if we just insert this one guy, not all schools are created equally. You might be in Miami, that you get that one dude that's going to help you unlock things and have a great season in Canmore. You might be Syracuse, who took Kyle McCord from Ohio State because he had something to prove. I know you're making another face here. all these. Do you need to be the Savage Wolves general manager? Identify these guys.
Oh, I'm not saying quarterback is easy.
No, it's not.
No, there's no rhyme.
Although
or
you
reason.
were
Now,
on that Pavia guy for a while.
Hey, I did win a few bets on New Mexico State last year. I could have told you he was going to come up and fight some people at Vanderbilt this year.
Maybe
it's
that's
not easy. There's no rhyme or reason to the portal.
man.
I'm not
There's
suggesting that.
There's not.
Again, I understood why he went and got McCall last year, because you can't necessarily think that Bailey was going to come in and do what he did. It's just sometimes he says things like he said the other day. He was hired to beat Carolina.
No.
That's not why you were hired. Tom O'Brien was 4-1 against Carolina.
He was part of the reason. I mean, you got to beat your rival. I get that, but there's other things too that go with it. It's not just that one thing,
right?
It's not just that one thing. Just talk to Ryan Day. Look at all these other wins I have.
49-1.
Yeah. But that one's kind of important too, man. That one's also.
Are they going to win the national championship?
What, Ohio State?
No.
Oh, it'd be hilarious.
They need to play a road game. If they play at home, they are screwed.
Who's got?
Can I call that right now?
What?
Even if they get Boise State or one of these janky teams at home, if they play at home, they lose. Their fans are done with him.
I do want to go back to the college football playoff, and you got to win, right? Now SMU sitting pretty. SMU essentially did what they were asked to do. Okay, right? Maybe not. This is a thing now too. Okay, you'd think that SMU's sitting pretty, but maybe not. Rhett Lashley was on with
Andy Staples.
With Andy Staples. Was it Andy and Ari is the podcast now with On 3. So Lashley was asked about the ACC championship and the college football playoff standings and everything else, and his response was interesting.
It doesn't feel as good as it should, because I don't know if me politicking would matter, but I kind of do have to, because we don't know what the committee's thinking, right? And I'm going to choose to believe that they're going to honor the full body of work and what our guys have done, being one of only 2 teams in a Power 3 conference, but definitely in a Power 4 conference that went undefeated in their conference and won it outright. That's us in Oregon. I'm going to choose to believe that we're in, if we win for sure, with a bye, and we're in no matter what, because that's what's right and what we've earned. But it is tough when the actions and things you see don't necessarily totally make you feel comfortable with that. And so I'm not going to politic, but it is tough when you feel like you're in a position where, based on what we've been told, we have 2 choices. One, not playing the conference championship game, and we're in. Like, we're in. We've been told that. We would be in right now if we didn't have another game to play. Or go compete for a championship, which we've earned the right to over other teams that haven't, and maybe risk falling out depending on what happens. That's not a position you ever want to be in as a coach, but it's an easy decision. We're going to choose to compete. We're going to go to Charlotte, and we're going to do everything we can to try to win an ACC conference championship, and then choose to believe that no matter what happens on Sunday, we'll be in the field.
I guess the On 3 money must be pretty good, because Ari's got those AirPod Maxes on. You just have normal AirPods on.
We got Santa right here.
Yeah, I see that.
We should probably introduce him to Rhett Lashley.
Yeah,
since he's believing in fantasies and other tall tales, if he thinks he's in.
I'm going to ask you a question, but before I ask you this question, Drew dropped off these bourbon balls. Do you want to try this?
I do.
Okay. They smell and taste amazing.
That container smells like heaven.
Okay.
Since you didn't have the Elijah Craig today. Or maybe you do now.
Well, don't eat too many of these, because you're going to fall asleep.
That's true.
I don't trust you.
There's no weed in there.
But then you might start cursing because of the bourbon.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Hopefully it was baked out. Anyway, the question I was going to ask you before I had that bourbon ball, I miss holiday parties, man. What is the point?
You're misremembering.
Yeah, you're right. What is the point of a conference championship game? What's the point? You accomplish something. You're playing for the right for a title. And yet, if you lose, and we've seen this before, if you lose, you're punished. And they always tell you, well, when you lose doesn't matter. We look at the totality of your season. That's BS. They absolutely look at when you lose. When you lose does matter. Okay? So, what is the point of the conference championship? What is TV revenue? Having an event in Charlotte for 50% capacity in Charlotte?
Did you see who was having trouble selling tickets for their conference championship?
No, I
games?
didn't.
The Big Ten.
Really? Interesting.
Because they know
It doesn't
those teams are in the playoff.
and they're going to be hosting.
If you're a Penn State fan
yeah,
and you have you don't have a bunch of money,
yeah,
well, guess what?
yeah.
First of all, you're going to get fleeced for the home game.
Yes,
Number one.
yes.
Number two, if your team advances and is going to play for a national championship, you're going to want to go and see that.
Yeah, no,
We
you're right.
saw this with Clemson in just the 4-team playoff. Like their fans and the fatigue of going to those games and paying for those games is a real thing. So I think that more so than whatever else happens is what's you're going to see these conferences try to make some sort of tweak.
Yeah,
But it's really hard, Joe, because think about it. Yeah, SMU's in this game, and I respect what SMU has done. They have not lost a game. But they haven't even so much as played Syracuse. They have not played Georgia Tech.
Well, this is what SEC
The
fans,
best team they've played is Duke.
the SEC fans were getting in the mentions, pointing out Texas winning the SEC after the big mighty SEC was going to take them down a peg, right? You're going to play some real competition now. And now suddenly we got SEC fans saying, well, look at the schedule.
No, you played the bad ones.
They played the bad schedule. They played the soft schedule. I'm
not
like, wait a
at
minute.
night.
That's a good
I don't
point.
know if they played it in night games.
Yeah, that's right. The
in
night
the
games
deep
matter
South
too.
lane.
Yeah, speaking of Lane Kiffin, and we'll close this portion of the conversation on Lane Kiffin. He was extremely online, man. He was tweeting out stuff about the ACC. And I'm thinking to myself, buddy, the ACC is not your problem.
Well, especially again when Auburn, who you're claiming is going onto the surface of Mars and trying to breathe, it's impossible. Can't win there. Cal did.
Right.
Florida. Oh, can't win there.
Miami did. Right. So he's banging on the ACC, and I'm thinking to myself, dude, the ACC is not your issue. Like, they're not trying to help them feel good or whatever it is. It's funny how Lane Kiffin is talking about protecting the ACC's feelings when it's the SEC that constantly needs their feelings reassured. Never offend the it always funny that the people in the most position of power are always the softest, and the SEC comes off as soft here. And Lane Kiffin's coming off as soft. So he's like retweeting rando. South Carolina's ranked wins, 8-4 Texas A&M, who is no longer in the top 25. 9-3 Missouri, who lost every game they played in the Power 4. 9-3 Clemson. ACC embarrassed by Georgia on a neutral field. Embarrassed by Louisville at home. Okay, dude, whatever. And then
that's the other one I forgot. Louisville beat Kentucky.
Yeah, that's right.
Kentucky beat.
That's right.
Ole Miss.
That's right. Ole Miss, Alabama, common opponents. Georgia, Bama won by 7 at home. Ole Miss won by 18. South Carolina, Bama won by 2 at home. Ole Miss won by 24 on the road. It goes on and on and on and on and on. And it's like, again, I'll say the same thing to Lane Kiffin that I was saying to the ACC earlier. You had opportunities to win. You didn't. And now you find yourself in this situation. Big thanks to Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. Check them out at bugsbite.com. It's cold out. You're not thinking about mosquitoes. That's fine. That's where Pest Authority comes into play. They can handle the inside of your house, things like moisture barriers. Big thanks to our friends at Longleaf Swine. I was planning on going to Longleaf this weekend, but I won't because I forgot I'm going to be in Charlotte for hockey. But when I'm back, there might be a little smash burger dinner action when I get back on Sunday.
I got lunch at the Swine tomorrow.
Nice. So Longleaf Swine's got some catering options for you as well. Or may I suggest, if you're looking for a last-minute sides pickup, they got amazing sides at Longleaf Swine. You can check them out online at longleafswine.com. A lot of travel this time of the year. Make sure you drop by Breeze Through to get a very important thing, gas. Load up on gas before you get on the road, okay? Go use their clean bathroom to empty out your tank while you're filling up your car's tank, and then get some snacks.
Big day at Lenovo Center last night.
Yeah?
Well, first of all, I want to give you credit.
Okay.
I think your idea that the Lenovo Park or whatever they're going to do is going to come to fruition.
Yeah. Lenovo Park, meaning that you've got the arena, the center, right?
Yeah.
With the Lenovo signage. And now that Carter Finley is open for business, they can just name the whole entire area Meadowlands Raleigh.
Lenovo
Park.
Meadowlands.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's going to happen.
Yes.
I saw some new signs that I had never seen before leaving because I had parked at Breeze Through. You could park for basketball games $10. Are you kidding?
It's great.
$10.
It's fantastic.
But I had this thought last night.
Yeah.
I see Adam from the Breeze Through.
Mm-hmm.
I see Hayes from Bugs Bite. I see Greg Hayden, Empire Properties. And I see Bennett from the Heister Automotive Group. That's how I got my tickets last night from Bennett. So I said, man, this is an OG gathering. All we're missing is Ovies. He's like, is Ovies here? He could have had my other tickets.
I know.
Because remember, we went to the Boston College game last year. And I was like, nope. He went to the big boy game.
I always
he
go.
went to Auburn and Duke.
Always going to the big boy game.
So we appreciate all of our corporate champions. It was an OG kind of night.
I love that. And if you're going to be at the arena, like for instance tonight,
And
get your 2 roosters.
the boss went to the game with me last night. She got the Slavin Sunday.
Awesome. Now, we might be lamenting the quality of ACC competition. The one thing you'll never lament is the quality of our friends at home field. So if you want to cheer up the Carolina fan in your life, go and get an amazing home field crew
Hark the
neck.
sound. They got great shirts.
The sweatpants are really, really comfortable because why would you get up and try to go watch that stuff? But you can be comfy at home while you watch the rest of the ACC basketball. If you want to get that sweet, sweet bomber jacket for the state fan in your life, that royal blue Duke for Jay Williams to remind
Pullover.
him. Yeah, that pullover. Remind Jay, hey, Jay, Duke blue.
This is the school you love.
This is the school you like, right? Go to homefieldapparel.com. Use that promo code OG24. We appreciate Homefield Apparel for being an OG corporate champion. Let's get into the lightning round. The Carolina Panthers are taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. This is yet another litmus test for the Carolina Panthers. You had the Kansas City Chiefs. How are you going to hang with the Chiefs? Are the Chiefs going to look like a Super Bowl contender? The answer to that was yes and no. They hung with the Chiefs. They had a chance. The mistake they made was they gave Patrick Mahomes 90 seconds to work with. It happens, man. You're just like everybody else. Then you've got
The Panthers are a 13-point dog.
now we're gonna get to this. So they covered. All right. They covered against the Chiefs. Then we get the Bucks. All right. Bucks are a pretty decent team. Baker Mayfield's having his renaissance, right? Should have won that damn game. I get that people were banging on Dave Canales for his 4th down decisions. I know Lauren Brownlow wrote about it over at OG Fans. But you know what? You got Eddie Pinheiro, man. He's got to make some freaking kicks. All right. There's a strip fumble. Adam Thielen, make a catch. All that stuff, right? They had an opportunity to lose in overtime, and it is what it is. But hey, things are looking like they're on the up. Bryce Young doing the thing. Now's the next opportunity for the Panthers to be somewhat interesting for the larger NFL conversation. Can they knock off the Eagles and their win streak? This is not like the Eagles last year where everybody was telling you they're frauds. This is an Eagles streak that people are going, oh, damn. Saquon Barkley is the truth. They're healthy. He's even in the MVP conversation. 13-point dog. Do they cover? I feel like that's yet another. The Panthers can lose but win if they cover against this Eagles squad that is cooking right now.
I typically don't like when a team loses close games, even one, because the next game usually is you're headed to Pound Town.
Yeah.
They've
Okay.
lost 2 in a row. Though,
All right, sexy red.
that they've lost 2 in a row that are problematic in
Yeah.
terms of getting your guts twisted a little bit.
Mhm.
So that could be a trap.
Now, there's a larger conversation about the NFL and some of these teams that are on streaks and you're due for a
Oh,
loss.
give it to me. Give me the radio it up, Joe.
I mean, we could do that,
You
but
made your whole life for this.
I
Hold it.
do want to hit one other Panthers note to circle back to something that I think is important because we're all about bringing that same energy on this podcast. Hey, remember when everybody wanted Dan Morgan fired because they got a bucket of footballs for Deontay Johnson out of the Baltimore Ravens? It was basically a pick swap, right? It wasn't great. It wasn't a great haul. And shout out to Mike K, Charlotte Observer, who covers
I was going
the
to say he did a really good job of telling us
Like,
why.
laying it out for everybody. Hey, dummies, it doesn't work the way you think it works. Deontay Johnson's trade value was essentially set the minute the Panthers got him for what they got him from the Steelers. Well, Deontay Johnson, who's developed a bit of a reputation, is proving out Mike K's point and what everybody else was trying to say, man. Just be lucky you got something for
And he's not
Deontay
here.
Johnson. And he's no longer
That's the
here,
addition.
which is the addition by subtraction. Baltimore Ravens suspended wide receiver Deontay Johnson for 1 game for conduct detrimental to the team. Quote, Deontay's suspension stems from refusing to enter our game against the Eagles. This is from general manager Eric DaCosta. DaCosta called the disciplinary action a difficult decision. Johnson will miss the game against the Giants on December 15th. The Ravens had been vague about Johnson's. This is from ESPN. The Ravens had been vague about Johnson's standing with the team after he suited up but did not play in a snap in Sunday's 24-19 loss to the Eagles. It was even more curious that Johnson never entered the game because starting wide receiver Rashad Bateman was sidelined in the second half with a knee injury. Johnson could be seen standing by a heater on the sideline for most of the game. So this is just to put a bow on it with the Deontay Johnson deal. The Panthers actually should be commended for getting something, anything, out of a guy that clearly was a problem on the team. They got rid of him, and maybe there's a direct correlation to how the offense might be looking a little bit better here as of late without Deontay Johnson. Sometimes you got to get rid of a guy in order to make things work. It works that way sometimes. Week 14 of the NFL. I'm going to dub this Prove It Weekend in the NFL. Who's really bout it? Who's a fraud? Who's going to show you they're truly Super Bowl contenders? Who's going to show you that there's somebody you don't want to see in the playoffs a few weeks from now? Are you ready?
Yes.
It actually starts tonight. I mean, being serious. It actually starts tonight for a decent Thursday night football game between the Detroit Lions, Bomani's Detroit Lions, and the Green Bay Packers. Everybody's favorite QB, Jordan Love, going up against everybody's favorite coach, Dan Campbell.
Well, I just wish this game was in Green Bay because, you know, one thing we need is more games in snow and sub-zero temperatures.
You are not.
So it's not even real football, so I won't even watch it.
You're not backing off at this point, are you?
No.
You're really not. That's hilarious to me. That's hilarious to me. So who you got?
Tonight, I like the Lions tonight.
Okay.
10 in a row. They've won 10 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
That ain't easy.
As we mentioned, the Carolina Panthers and the Eagles will be in action. This is a Eagles team that has won 8 in a row. I don't think that's going to be slowed down by the Carolina Panthers. But I also don't think that the Eagles really show you anything as a true Super Bowl contender by handling business against how do you qualify the Panthers now?
They're normal.
The normal?
Yeah.
I think I've even been using the phrase normal ass football team.
Yeah.
So they're just a normal ass football team. So I'm not going to get too
That's a win.
I'm not going to get too worked up
Being
about
normal is
this,
a win.
right? I'm not going to get too worked about that. You also have a little bit of a prove it with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns. Jameis giveth, Jameis taketh. We didn't talk about it this week, but I thought it was hilarious that Jameis Winston was like, one of these days, I need the Lord to just not give to take the pick six away, man. Just take the pick six away.
497 yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 picks.
3 pick sixes. That's the other thing, too. The man is a pick six machine. But the Browns have shown you they have the ability in them to shock. Like, we remember the Ravens a couple of weeks
this
ago.
Is a run it back game, though. They just beat the
I know.
Steelers.
I know.
Mike Tomlin's not losing a run it back game.
But do the Steelers prove anything?
No, not this week.
Okay, I didn't think so either.
The other big streak is the Bills.
Yes, the Bills
7
are the
in a
other
row.
one. Against a Rams team that is, again, just a normal-ass football team right now. That Rams team is very, very just normal, very average.
6-6 even.
Yeah, right down to the record, right? So I am curious about the Bills coming off the high of their snow game in prime time. I do think, I'll say this about the Bills, and I think why I'm actually more likely to believe the Bills this year versus what we've seen in the past. And it actually ties into they are the 2015 Carolina Panthers. You know, during that discourse, you want to give me radio scars.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to diminish what Cam Newton's MVP season was because he wasn't being a traditional quarterback. Well, look at his passing numbers. Cool, man. You can have his passing numbers. I'm going to give you his freaking touchdowns, the ones he is accounting for, the ones he's running in, him basically carrying Ted Ginn Jr. and that freaking average clown show all up and down the field, okay? Now, addition by subtraction. This ties in another Panthers conversation with Deontay Johnson. A lot of people made a big deal about life without Stephon Diggs. This actually allows the Buffalo Bills to run the offense that Josh Allen and that weather are suited for, as we saw on Sunday night. That looks like a tough-ass football team now, running the freaking ball and having Josh Allen stay within himself rather than trying to be something that he's not. Again, a lot of Cam Newton energy, white Cam Newton energy with Josh, I almost called him Josh Graham, with Josh Allen.
Did you see Josh last night?
No. WD.
Oh, okay.
Look, man, he's a dad now. He's got priorities.
Well, he was in Chapel Hill.
Oh, he was in Chapel Hill?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm surprised he didn't bring the baby so that Coach K could sign his forehead. Anyway, so no, I do think I think that what I want to see out of the Bills is it's the old Mike Solarteism. Stay within yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. That works for you. And there's Panthers.
Be who you are.
Be who you are.
Cat be cat.
And then, of course, there is the final what you about. People keep waiting for the Chiefs to fall off at 11-1, right? And they're taking on the Chargers, and people are hyped up on Harbaugh and what he's been able to do with Justin Herbert. They're 8-4 right now. That's a spunky Rams team. A spunky Chargers team, excuse me. And we know Harbaugh will probably take great joy in sticking it to the Chiefs. But I think
he would, but
I don't think it's going to happen. It's not going to happen. This is the thing that we're going to have to reconcile with the Chiefs the rest of the season. Are they vintage Chiefs? No. Nobody's trying to argue because they're 11-1. There's somehow nothing to worry about. But as we talked about with Bomani this week, as long as they got Patrick Mahomes, as long as they got Travis Kelce, as long as they got Andy Reid, they probably are going to have a particular edge on you to get over. Simple as that. It's as simple as that. And as much as you might like Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills, the Ravens went from super, super high to people selling stock on the Ravens. Okay? Tell me what becomes inevitable, Joe.
Chiefs.
The Chiefs do.
Mahomes.
Chiefs. Always
rolling
with the homies. Let's take a little hockey break here.
Let's take a hockey break. Brought to you by Happy and Hale.
Check out Happy and Hale. You're going to be eating a lot of rich food. You could be having these bourbon balls. You could eat a whole tin of bourbon balls.
I would not recommend that.
I would not recommend it, but you could eat a whole tin of these bad boys. So what do you do? You need some roughage when it's all said and done. May I suggest you go to Happy and Hale. That's what it's all about. Canes in action tonight.
Against the Avs.
Who's their goalie?
That's got to be Cooch for this game, right?
It's not about Cooch. This is what I'm here to tell you. I saw the stat floating around. I had it in front of me. But we've officially entered this week. And again, I'm not trying to make a big deal of this. I'm not trying to act like the Carolina Hurricanes are going to miss the playoffs or it was all a mirage or any of that stuff. But we have officially entered Cindy Lowe territory once again for the Carolina Hurricanes.
Well, your best players have to be your best players. And then they have to make shots. It's the only way you can win.
We've been so distracted by Marty Necas, we've forgotten that Andrei Svechnikov is being paid a lot of freaking money to produce. Has he produced? Not really. Struggle. Sebastian Aho. I give him the benefit of the doubt because we've seen him go through these types of things. He can be a bit streaky. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt on that. So that's what I come down to. You have to be more consistent from your best players right now, the guys that you've invested a lot of money in. And over the course of these last 3 games, we haven't exactly seen that out of the Carolina Hurricanes. We haven't really seen that consistently out of Andrei Svechnikov. And Svechnikov might not be that guy. I mean, he might just be, he might not be the finisher you asked him to do. He might be a really great all-around player. He can bring his physicality. He can do some things on the ice that maybe those who are chasing the puck and just watching the puck can't appreciate. I get all those hockey enthusiast knower things that get thrown out when people talk about Andrei Svechnikov. But that's not why you signed Andrei Svechnikov to that deal. You signed him to score. He's not really doing that right now, Joe.
Just to answer your original question, I think you asked because Spencer Martin was sent down to Chicago, and they brought up their 35-year-old journeyman,
Yes.
Dustin Tokarski.
Yes.
But they're playing Colorado Thursday. Go to the island on Saturday. Given Cooch hasn't played for 2 weeks, I could see him playing both of those games.
Mm-hmm.
And then the minor league team that is the San Jose Sharks will be here on Tuesday.
Big thanks to Whitaker and Hamer for sponsoring Ovies and Giglio. I need it in our contract. A couple things in our contract so far that Whitaker and Hamer hammered out for us. One of them is distance. So like Drew asked us, what size table do you need? A 4-foot table or a 6-foot table? And I did say to Drew, well, it's in my contract that there's at least 4 feet between you and me. So we measured, we're good. I might have to put in the contract, no more bourbon balls at recordings. None. No more. In fact, it's been a very bourbon-heavy week for me, but no more bourbon balls.
That's helping with your cough or
it actually has
sinuses.
Helped. It actually has helped out. It actually has helped out. So if you need a contract like that, I'm sure Whitaker and Hamer can help you out. I need a 5-page, multi-signed, document or whatever. No bourbon balls. That's what it all says with all the repercussions. No, in all seriousness, big thanks to Whitaker and Hamer. Big thanks to My Hometown Realty. Check them out online at Hometown Realty at myhtr.com. Hometown Realty will help you buy and sell with confidence. Hey, man, I was driving out here through Fayetteville. I took a wrong turn, so I went through some of the open fields. I drove past a drag strip, right? But there's some really nice property out here. Some really big parcels of land with some really nice homes on. Maybe that's what you're looking for. Looking to get away from the hustle and bustle of downtown Raleigh, and you want to live out in the country. Hey, man. Hometown Realty. Check them out, myhtr.com. Big thanks to Roback. Hey, I have a Hey Joe question for you regarding Roback. You know what looked good on press row yesterday?
Your new Roback OG gear?
Yeah.
It'll be here.
When?
Before the OG tailgate.
Okay.
So next week.
Cool.
That's our target.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to going to press events in my Roback OG gear.
Very fancy.
That comes out of the promotional line item on the budget.
Yeah.
So it's all good. I'm looking forward to that. Now, you have some gift line item budget, right? You go to roback.com, use that promo code OG20 to save 20% off your order. And Roback goes beyond like the quarter zips that Giglio's wearing right now, or the comfortable slacks. They have some really great, comfortable shirts that may I suggest you work out in.
Yeah.
Look good, feel good, work out good, and then take it on over to O2 Fitness.
O2 Fitness, so much more than a gym.
So with O2 Fitness at o2fitnessclubs.com, yes, we do talk about the gym. They've got the elliptical, they've got the arc trainer, they've got the bikes, they got all the ways in which you can burn off the bourbon balls you've consumed at a Copiers Plus holiday party. They can burn off all the pie that you might have consumed over Thanksgiving.
But it's not on there.
But more importantly, Joe, it's beyond a gym. Working out is one thing, but let's say you got a little bit of a wonky knee. They can work on that. Your neck's killing you, right? They can work on that. And they've been working on you.
Redo physiotherapy. A lot of different ways. You've got dry needling, cupping.
Mm-hmm. Have you tried the cupping yet?
TENS.
Yes. Have you done that?
Yeah. Little heat, little ice. How about this? Exercises.
Nice. That's a novel concept. Actual exercises? Who knew?
What?
Who knew? So head on over to o2fitnessclubs.com to find out more. And when you're done working out, and let's say you need a little CBD to help out with the knee as well, you can find that at Nature's Relief. It goes beyond just the, hey, man, I need something that'll just melt me into the couch while I'm watching bad ACC basketball. Now, they got that. They have
They
that.
might need. That might be their niche this year.
And honestly, I might send some to Jim Phillips, like, buddy.
Here you go.
I mean, are you doing your tour again? You're trying to go to all these games? Man, you might need this when you're on press row. I'm just saying. So I would send them to Nature's Relief. Check them out online at naturesreliefhempstore.com. But they do have like CBD. the non-psychoactive.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't take you into outer space. It just helps with some other aspects of what you might be dealing with. So go check them out at naturesreliefhempstore.com. That's going to wrap it up for today's edition of the OG. We have an OG mailbag tomorrow. We have a lot of sports phone calls to get through. In the
That's
mailbag.
more appropriate for tomorrow.
Much more appropriate for tomorrow's
'Cause
show.
We give them the option, curse or don't, but nobody really chooses the don't.
Yeah, that's a good
Notice
point.
that.
So we're trying to stay curse-free while we're at an official office party. That's what it's all about. Anyway, big thanks to Copiers Plus for having us out. Thanks to all of our corporate champions. And, of course, thanks to you for listening to us. We will see you for an OG mailbag on Friday.